So, it appeared Red Bull was on track for a large haul of points at the 2022 season-opening Bahrain Grand Prix. But then, 3 laps from the finish, it all went wrong, with Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez both retiring. So, what caused the retirement, and how will these lost points affect Red Bull for the rest of the season? Let's find out. Red Bull had entered qualifying on Saturday as the weekend's favourite, with Verstappen appearing to have more speed than the Ferraris in the final stages of testing and practice. Despite the fact that Ferrari had a slight advantage, missing out on a significant points haul had appeared to be an unthinkable prospect for Red Bull. Verstappen appeared to be on track to finish second behind Ferrari's winner Charles Leclerc, while Sergio Perez held on to fourth in his battle with Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton. Verstappen, however, abruptly slowed and coasted into the pit lane with 2 laps remaining after experiencing what he thought were battery problems. On the final lap, misfortune also struck Perez as his engine seized near turn 1, locking the rear axle and sending the Mexican into a spin. It cost Red Bull 30 points, while giving Ferrari a 1-2 and giving bitter rival Mercedes more points than expected, with 3rd and 4th place finishes for Hamilton and George Russell. Horner admitted that the late double retirement was the team's worst nightmare. I can't remember the last time that happened to us, but it's obviously your worst nightmare. It's hugely disappointing, not only to lose a podium with Max, but on the last lap to lose a podium with Checo as well. A brutal finish, that race for us. What looked like a decent haul of points suddenly evaporated in the last couple of laps there. Now, Red Bull suspects Verstappen and Perez were both hit by a similar fuel pump issue, which meant the Honda combustion engine couldn't be fed with the remaining fuel in the car, Horner explained. We just need to get the cars back, get the fuel system apart and understand, because we know the fuel was in there. That's frustrating. We just need to get on top of this issue and fight back next weekend. Despite the heartbreak, Horner was upbeat about Red Bull's performance in Bahrain, which he believes bodes well for the rest of the season. I think the positive side for us is that we had a very competitive car. I don't think we had quite the pace of Charles today, but some great racing between Max and Charles. We were fighting for the race win at different points of that race. It's a long season, 23 races. We'll get this behind us and get stuck into the next event. Verstappen had fought valiantly with eventual winner Charles Leclerc for much of the race and appeared to be settling for second when he began to complain about steering and power unit issues on his Red Bull RB18. Passed on lap 54 or 57 by 3rd place Carlos Sainz Ferrari, who had nearly overtaken the ailing Verstappen on a safety car restart 3 laps earlier, Verstappen's problems proved terminal and the Dutchman retired from the race. Verstappen described the finish as frustrating, capping off a miserable day for the reigning World Drivers' Champion. I mean, what happened at the end is obviously very frustrating, but of course before that, quite a few issues. First of all, the balance was off. I didn't have the same feeling as on Friday on the long runs, so that was a bit disappointing. Then suddenly my steering, I don't know what happened to that, it was just completely locked, and the faster I was going, I could barely steer. So it was not easy on the restart to defend from Carlos. But then I was still in second with that big issue, so you think, okay, with all these issues that I've had today, second would be a good result, and then suddenly I had to retire, everything just switched off. It looked like a fuel pump or issue, there was no fuel coming to the engine. Of course these things, you don't want them to happen, and it's very painful for the team as well that both cars retired. We need to look into everything. Verstappen was asked if he was feeling mixed emotions given his strong performance over the weekend. He replied, "I think at the end what is the biggest problem is that we scored 0 points with a competitive car. And of course on the days when you have tiny issues or you're not entirely happy with the balance, you have to consolidate and score points, and what we did today is of course extremely painful." Sergio Perez was also understandably disappointed, with the Mexican's retirement handing P3 to Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton. "I was very unfortunate. I lost the engine, just locked the rears completely, and there was nothing I could do. It looks a very similar problem to what Max had. I'm definitely disappointed, but we're a strong team and it's a long season ahead of us. We just have to remain working as hard as possible, and next weekend is another opportunity." Despite his disappointment at missing out on a career-high 6th podium, Perez remains confident that his Red Bull team will resolve any issues. "We're basically on the podium. We hold back Lewis, which was really tough. He was really fast at the end, and a bit of a shame really that we didn't get that result. We're a great team, and I really believe in them, and I'm sure we will get to the bottom of it. It's a very disappointing day, a very disappointing start for our season, but we know how long Formula 1 years can be." For Verstappen, however, it marked a disappointing start to his title defense, with Ferrari taking a 1-2 finish and Mercedes rival Lewis Hamilton taking 15 points for third place. It's just disappointing. You always say to yourself and to the team as well, we have to score points. It doesn't matter if it's first or second in the first race. You could see that at turn 1 at the start. I didn't risk too much. Also, when I was fighting with Charles, it was all clean and I was happy with the second place here. But to lose so many points for the team is also very disappointing, because for the championship, where sometimes it can be really tight until the end, these are very important points. Now, when the Red Bulls failed to finish, it became clear that both drivers' power units were starved out of fuel, despite having plenty of ExxonMobil's E10 in their tanks. In other words, something in the RB18's fuel system had failed, and it was not picking up the last few litres needed to get the cars to the finish line. The intriguing part of the story was that F1 fuel systems are now made up of elements supplied by the team, the power unit manufacturer, and third parties who won FIA bids to supply standard components to the entire grid, specifically 2 types of fuel pumps. As a result, the big question in the aftermath of the race was, did one of the generic items fail in both cars, resulting in a hugely frustrating double retirement caused by something not manufactured by Red Bull Technology or Honda? And, if that's the case, was there something in the packaging that the team or its engine partner was responsible for that caused it to fail only on the 2 RB18s and not on any other car? In fact, Red Bull Motorsport boss Helmut Marko hinted that the problem was with an outside supplier's key component. What we suspect is that there are problems with the fuel pump for both cars, but the fuel pump doesn't come from us, we just have to take it. And we never had this problem before, that's the strange thing. Horner, however, was unable to identify any specific failure. It looks like a similar issue on both cars. We don't know exactly what it is yet, whether it's a lift pump, whether it's the collector or something along those lines, but we've got to get into it and understand exactly what caused it. Now, there's a good chance that whatever happened was caused by the temperature. Sunday was the first time the 2022 cars raced with the new E10 fuel in real-world conditions, with the drivers frequently trailing other cars. High brake and engine temperatures were a problem all the way down the pit lane. Perhaps it was no coincidence that the Red Bull failures occurred shortly after the field had been placed under safety car conditions. We've seen cars grind to a halt in the past when something gets too hot when running slowly, especially early in the season. Keeping the fuel cool is always a challenge for teams because the regulations state that the use of any device on board the car to decrease the temperature of the fuel is prohibited. That rule appears to be from the era of atmospheric engines, when cooler fuel provided a performance advantage that doesn't apply as much to today's V6 turbos. Fans must now wait for an official analysis from Red Bull, and the team may be in a rush to make any necessary repairs before next weekend's Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to click the bell button to be notified of future videos. Please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. So, what are your thoughts on Red Bull's double retirement? Was it an FIA component that caused the failures, or was it Red Bull's fault? Finally, how much of an impact do you believe this point loss will have on the championship outcome? We'd love to hear what you think.